welcome back for part 2 of
Leave
Let's
me
Play
alone.
Code Lyoko Quest
What's
for
wrong, Mrs.
Infinity.
Hanks?
It's you.
And to start
You.
off, we have
I can't
Miss
take it
Miss
anymore.
Hertz going
I haven't slept all
completely
week because of you
insane
students.
for no
You're
good
in my
reason.
nightmares. I'm all alone in front of you. Thousands of
And
you.
then
right
Odd's
there,
gonna try to
looking at me with
out-crazy
your vicious
her in a
little
minute.
eyes and your pointy little teeth
Right
like
about
vampires.
now.
Hey, me too. I had a nightmare last night. Kiwi had turned into a giant and he was flying around the sky dropping poison meatballs. And there I was, swimming around in an ocean of fish
Now,
batter.
that doesn't
But I couldn't
quite
drown.
make
The
sense,
stuff was too
because
thick.
while he couldn't technically
Leave me
drown,
alone.
couldn't he still suffocate? Oh well, I skipped past all the people who didn't have anything new to say.
How's our little secret?
Which in this case was everybody who
No
hadn't
problem,
already
Jim.
appeared.
All locked up and I threw away the
So
key.
here's Jim.
Nobody will hear a word about Paco.
Telling us that yes, we are actually in
God's sake,
Season
Elliot,
4 of
you're
Code
not so
Lyoko.
loud.
Just
There
in
are
case
people
you were
around.
wondering,
I
because,
don't want news
you
spreading
know...
about my acting career.
Oh, you'll wonder even more later on when things happen in this that don't at all happen in the actual
you ever
Season
seen
4.
Sissy by any chance? I did all her homework and had to give it to her
Well.
before chemistry class.
No idea.
Really?
Yeah, really, this is all just in
Sissy,
here
where
because I
are
want to
you?
give you guys
I'm gonna
everything that
slay.
happens in the story. Again, the outdoors here mostly annoy me because they do nothing with
There
it.
you are. Finally.
So back to the
Hi,
factory,
So
and
what
Jeremy's
was it
got
you had to tell us
a
that was
job
so
for us to
important?
do,
I hope it's good news.
as
I
always.
put the finishing touches on Lyoko. There was still some Franz Hopper info to decode, and I had to develop a code cracking module for the binary and dynamic data. And
Are you finished or not?
yeah, a couple of days ago.
Cool.
Wait,
So
you
what have
finished
you
a
been
couple
working on
days
lately?
ago,
Eileen and I
and
have figured out a way to track William.
Spit
wait,
it out, Einstein.
well,
What
I
is
guess maybe
have
he
to
didn't
cross
really
the
have anything for
digital
them to
sea.
do.
Are you crazy? Do
By the
that
way,
and
isn't
we'll
it
be
devirtualized forever,
Don't
not
panic.
devirtualized forever?
Working all week.
That doesn't make any
We fixed up a
sense.
ship that will take us across the digital sea
well.
unharmed.
Anyway.
Right, a ship. Show
Yeah,
me,
they
show
got a
me.
ship now.
I mean, it's not quite ready just yet.
So,
Okay, let me guess. You need
and
us to get some
Yumi,
data
as
back
always,
from
figures
Lyoko.
out that we
Is
have to
that
go
it?
do
Yeah,
some pointless
that's
busy
it.
work.
I've been checking, and we're
And, of
using
course,
some
Zan is gonna be
bipolar
in the
data
way because
blocks
he
that I
always
located in the
is.
desert sector.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Okay, I'll start the
So
procedure.
let's start the procedure and skip loading screens.
Scanner on.
Yeah, we're only going to show this little transfer, scanner,
Scanner
virtualization
or-
thing one time. Because it's exactly the same almost every time after this.
Scanner
With the
Yumi.
few exceptions being when you actually don't have every character going along with you. So, yeah,
Scanner
in those
Alita.
situations, it's just shorter and just as pointless.
Virtualization.
And looks exactly the same every single
Let's get
time.
going. We have to recover the data that we need to
So
finish
here
the
you'll
ship.
notice that all
By
the
the
character
way,
sprites look
I wasn't
kinda
able to recode
disturbing.
your powers and skills.
But, more
The
importantly,
data was lost when
you'll get to
Lyoko
see
was
that we now have
destroyed.
access to all 4 of the
Oh,
characters
no.
instead of just
Don't
Odd.
panic. You should be able to pick up the data pack,
And
which will let
some
me
bullcrap
reprogram.
explanation as to why you don't have any of your special powers. So basically, you switch characters by holding the, believe it might be R1 or L1. It's been a little while, and I couldn't read the screen, so I'm sure you could see it better than I could.
Ulrich, this creeper has a special
And
armor.
here you have the
According to my analysis,
silver or
only
metal
a laser
creepers,
saber can pierce it.
which are some of the... Actually, I believe they're the only enemy in the game that can only be killed by Ulrich's
You have to
sword.
let Odd, Alita,
Of course,
or
Ulrich
Yumi
can't hit
turn
switches,
on
as
the
is
switch.
shown here by me
You can't
plummeting
do it
off
with
the
your sword.
side to my doom. So, screw fighting this guy again, there's no point. There's no point to really fighting a lot of enemies in this game if you can avoid it. But anyway, why don't we switch to Yumi, who is the subject of the next tutorial. And just have her shoot the switch, easy enough. Now, this tutorial is supposed to teach you how to use her multi-lock ability. Basically, you hold down the attack button, and then you move her so where she's facing the target that you want her to lock onto. Or, the much more preferred way is to hold down the L1 button, I believe, which is the targeting button, and then just hold down square and it'll lock onto an enemy. It'll never lock onto an enemy more times than is necessary to kill it. And you can, if you still, if you keep holding on to the square button when that happens, you can let go of L1 and then move your lock onto another target. And it'll work just as effectively. And you can lock onto that target with what you have left. it's a little cumbersome, and Yumi is a very powerful character against single enemies that require a lot of hits, but other than that, she's not all that impressive.
Shouldn't be a problem. They don't have any armor.
Though there is one boss that tries desperately to take advantage of her multi-lock ability, and it's one of the most frustrating things in this game. Right there was just a tutorial of how to use Aelita, but she's almost completely useless in the early part of the game because her attack doesn't have enough of a payoff for the amount of time it takes to use it. And of course, Odd is the only one with any real special ability at this point. He can climb walls. Oh, and he also has the magical special ability to shoot while in the air. Something that none of the other ranged characters can do for no good reason. I guess technically it makes sense with Yumi, maybe. But for Aelita, it really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the digital
Why can't she just shoot her basic shot in the air? Oh well.
Doesn't lead to the digital seed. It's just empty.
Yeah, that never happened in the show.
You'll wander forever in the digital void.
Wow.
Though to be fair, that is freaky. That is really weird. Anyway, we have Aelita punching in random parts of air, I guess.
Right.
It looked like she didn't really do anything.
I was able to put the finishing touches on the ship.
Huh.
Right. Now we just have to christen
So now let's just come up with a name for the ship.
Okay. What about
And
the
that's
USS
the
Meatball?
dumbest idea I've ever heard.
Whatever. What do you know about it anyway?
When I was little, my dad told me tales about a magic draft car that sailed the seas and never lost its way. It was called the Skidbladnir.
Yeah, that was a lot more impressive in the show when you actually had,
Sounds cool.
you know,
And it's easier to
background and
Cool. Get ready then. I'm
flashbacks,
sending you to the ski.
memories,
We'll
and all that
finally
kind
be
of
able to
stuff
try
that
it out.
actually made it have context and made us give a crap. By the way, there's a loading scene. There was a loading scene between that last cutscene and this cutscene.
Energize.
Or loading screen. Yeah, this game's full of loading screens. I'm going to be cutting almost all of them out. Actually, correction, I'm going to be cutting every one of them out that I possibly can of the future videos because they are completely pointless. And the loading screens in this game can take upwards of 10 seconds to load. It's ridiculous. It's not like this is some graphics-breaking game, I don't think. It was on the Wii, so I can't imagine it would be really that big with graphics. I'm not entirely sure why they stop right before they hit the water. I guess maybe it's like slowing the impact because if you hit water at full speed, it's kind of like the same as hitting a brick wall almost. But still, it doesn't seem quite right in digital data.
Careful. Looks like
But,
you have company.
okay.
Aelita, release the nav skids.
Well, looks like we're gonna go up against some monsters. And the water turns red just like in the show. Now, these sequences are actually pretty nice, but some of the later ones get incredibly difficult for no good reason. And having finished this game with collecting almost no health power-ups, except for like the one that you're going to see in this video, it gets ridiculously hard later. Because you get not enough repair to actually help you. So there I grabbed I got those 3 repairs there. But for the first thing I grabbed from the first enemy was actually something that increased the number of lock-ons for your navskid, for the torpedoes. Which, surprisingly enough, only actually lasts for the scene that you're actually in when you get it. And you'll only ever get 2 in any given scene. Like here I actually did get both of them, because one of them was in that little area with the white pike things. The white poles, and hitting those causes insane damage. To the point where that's the worst part of the later stages, dealing with the parts where you have to fly through the posts. And here I get hit by a lot of shots, but it's been a little while since I played. So, these early stages, which are usually really easy, even that one kind of screwed me over.
No monsters on the
But yeah, that one's simple enough. Those enemies are easy enough, and you get through that part with no real trouble. Hey, where were the other guys?
What is it, Jeremy? Another sector?
Maybe covering other alleys or something, I guess? I don't really know what's going on there. Oh well. Yes, let's explore the random thing we happen to find that looks like Lyoko. There could be no problem whatsoever doing this. So,
Desert.
we've reached a desert sector.
Come on, get going. We have to find a tower to
And for the remainder of this section, I'll be playing as Odd, because, as I think I stated in the first video, Odd is the most powerful character in this game by a fairly wide margin. I mean, he's even able to attack in the air, while Ulrich can kind of do an attack that involves jumping, but it's kind of a jumping, then downward slashing thing. And while it is his most useful attack, it's not what you'd call, well-programmed. The timing is a little off on it. I'll end up showing off the attack later, but it's kind of weird how you actually have to do it. Yeah, here I'm running across the bridge. Yeah. But yeah, this is pretty straightforward at this point. Jump across platforms. That semi-clear platform that you saw there, and you saw a couple of them in the Sector 5 area, those are the disappearing platforms. You come across a few later on that when you jump on the first one, it starts a timer for all of them to disappear. But we'll see that in a later video. And here, it's honestly just not worth it to fight either of them. It's just a lot faster to just run past them and ignore it. You'll find that to be the case a lot of times in this game. Because while Odd is the most powerful, it takes a little while for his weapon to do a lot of damage per hit. So you don't really get much value out of just running around and shooting people unless you absolutely have to. I am surprised it took me as long as it did to figure out that Star Trek reference there.
Nice.
Ugh.
Your life points gauge is just
Silly
shot
me.
up. Now
Must be
you're
tired.
even more resistant.
And health power up a little earlier, so shoot things, circle. Blocks, the normal blocks actually have all their attacks from the series. The ring, the ice beam, and the actual shots, or the lasers. You'll come across ice blocks later, which only use the ice beam, and ring blocks that only use the ring, as well as like beam blocks, which actually fire a continuous laser at you. You'll find all sorts of different types of the different enemies from the series in the game. Though, strangely enough, the Scorpion, which shows up in the platforming game on the DS, does not show up in this game at all. I'm not entirely sure why that's the case.
Be careful.
William?
Though this game also features the Vulcanoid, which we'll see a lot later. So,
There.
It's him.
another cutscene, and there's William, floating down to greet you. And looking even more like Cloud Strife than the sword would cause him to normally look. Yeah, the first fight with William is ridiculously easy. Just shoot him. A lot. Once he completely devirtualizes, all the monsters die. Yay!
Aelita, it's your turn.
And now Aelita runs into the tower. Rise up. Backflip for the camera. And sticks the landing. I do find it interesting we never see her, like, typing on anything to bring up that code. It just sort of happens. Like, she just has to think it. Which is fine, it's just kind of weird to never have that explained at all. So, everyone's just kind of riding along in the...
What's that?
I'm not entirely sure why they showed us Odd sideways. Why didn't they just show him straight up and down?
Send me the thing's coordinates.
It'd be a lot less disorienting.
Okay. Coming right
Another replica. Well, as you can probably tell by the fact that we're getting close to the 15-minute mark here, this is the end of the video about. So, we're just going to come back to this replica next time.
So, were you able to analyze the
And I will see you all then.
I just need
Thank
to
you very
launch
much
the
for
search
watching.
on the supercomputer. No need to thank us. Piece of cake.
Sorry, got carried away. Thanks, guys. You made it work.
Xana has pulled out all the stops to defend this new territory.
Yeah, I know. I hope that with the information you got, we'll find out why.